So are you saying, are you meaning agnostic, that their God is wrong? Is that what you're?
Like, don't they believe that there's some being?
Okay, so sure. So that they can think that there's something there, and they may just say, I don't know what it is, and I just don't really care, and I'm okay to be like that. So what you want to do then, essentially, is you want to kind of point out to them, is that really the way that we really function in life? Really function in the sense where we just go about and just say, supposed to go to work today, I'm supposed to go to school today. I don't really know what time it starts. I'll just show up at 1. Doesn't really matter anyways. No, that's not really how we get through life. We look for truth, and there's an importance in us being able to find out what truth is, because truth might have a serious implication for our life. It might really matter to us if something is true. And so what I try to let them know, most of the time that people that I encounter that are agnostics, that aren't sure when that God is there, and it's just because they haven't looked into it. And they just figure, oh, religions say all kind of things, and you can't really know if anything's true, so they just don't really bother with it. So I really try to help them look at Christianity, look at what Christianity says and what it offers, look at a lot of the evidence surrounding it. I really try and help them to understand who Jesus is, because I find a lot of people, when they reject Christianity, are not rejecting the Christianity I know, they're rejecting another Christianity that's been presented to them. And I want people, if you're going to reject Christianity, that's one thing, but at least reject the truth and not the lie. And I find a lot of people reject this image that really isn't true. So I really try and spend a lot of time help people to understand truly what Christianity is, who Jesus was, what the Bible teaches, what's this whole deal about the cross, and why does that even matter? And so I try and present it like that, and help them to see that there really is something to this. And now that they can understand that there is something to this, maybe now it seems like, maybe this is worth looking into, even if it's just a matter of curiosity. Maybe it's even a matter of like, wow, this is actually more interesting than I thought there was. Maybe I'll take a little bit more time and look into it. So I think, to answer your question, I think that I really try and help people to understand the truth about Christianity, understand who Jesus is, take the time to show them, and help them to know that you really don't want to live in this state of not knowing anything, because that's not really how we function really in any part of life. I had one friend who's agnostic, and he's like, I need to sort this out. He's like, because you just can't live like this. You can't live in this middle ground. Almost in the sense of, it's like, you don't know where you fit in then. You don't know what to accept as true. So I try and help them to see the importance of making a decision and searching for truth.
Yeah, and I also would like to weigh in here a little bit, and I love what Alycia said here on the term agnostic, first of all, was originally coined by a man named Thomas Huxley, who, before he coined the term, was actually a very committed atheist. But he wanted a term that somehow allowed him a little bit of leeway, a little bit of flexibility, and also the humility to say that there may be something more out there, there may be a higher power, but it's probably impossible that we'll know. But he really cast his vote pretty much in favor of atheism. So I think at its best, an agnostic can entertain a little bit of intellectual humility when it comes to ultimate questions, but more often than not, the people I've known who have identified as agnostic have been unwilling to really think through these issues, and it sort of ends up becoming a form of intellectual complacency and trying to avoid. Because the question, even like Nabil was saying earlier when he spoke with the man who was a Buddhist, who said, well, it's a way, but if this is something that affects the very fabric of your life, the whole direction of how you're going to lead your life and your possible salvation, don't you want to know that? I mean, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And you can live in middle ground for a while I think if you just ignore these ultimate questions, you can sleepwalk through it. I have friends who have done that. But you'll get to a point in life where a crisis will happen or something is going to force your hand and you want to know. And if there is evidence out there, if there are people making ultimate claims, you want to investigate those ultimate claims, because ultimately this is so practical. It has a bearing on your day-to-day life and how you're actually going to carry out your life. And so I think I would want to impress on anybody who self-identifies as an agnostic the gravity and the weight of actually coming to terms with why we're here, what the purpose of life is, where we came from, where we're going, what happens after you die. These are not just abstract questions. They have an intimate bearing on how we actually lead our lives and what eventually happens to us.